For me, it was very surprising to see that there is a kind of normalcy, that life goes on, and that the atmosphere of the places we've been is very European.
It's notable attitude of resilience that these people have.
I've learned about, courage. I've learned about solidarity. I've learned about to overcome, the worst.
Hello and welcome to Ukraine in Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center, an NGO Euro-Atlantic course. And I'm your host, Miroslava Yarenkiv. From May 19th to 26th, the Ukraine Crisis Media Center organized the second press tour for journalists from the Global South with the aim of opening Ukraine to a region that does not have a strong Ukrainian presence in the informational field. The press tour was carried out in cooperation and coordination with the Open Society Foundation and International Renaissance Foundation. UCMC wanted to provide an opportunity to introduce journalists to the democratic institutions and public organizations of Ukraine, demonstrate the unique culture and history of Ukraine, and explain the peculiarities of Russian-Ukrainian relations through a post-colonial prism in order to contribute to a change of focus and correct understanding of events in Ukraine, and also show the personal and humanitarian dimension of the war in Ukraine as it resonates with international audiences on a deeper level. In today's episode, we're going to reflect on journalists' impression of Ukraine amidst war, their personal insights and conclusions of the trip. If you want to learn more about the subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our videos in the future. When you are staying abroad, sometimes it's very hard to grasp what is happening in Ukraine. How people live their daily lives here, how places continue working amidst air raid alerts and missile attacks, and how the spirit of Ukrainians perseveres in the most dark and challenging times. The first question we asked the participating journalist was, considering you come from a Latin American country, what were your expectations before arriving in Ukraine?
My expectations before I arrived to Ukraine, I think, was to see the war immediately when I arrived here, and that wasn't the reality, because I don't know, I think I was based in what I've read and what I see in the news and not in real life.
My expectation was the first opportunity to come to Ukraine. I covered a lot of war around the world in the last 25 years, and this was in my agenda, kind of came and had a very good expectation, and the expectation was okay. The trip was fantastic. A lot of people face in front of us. I will prefer, of course, to go to other places more near the front. We can go over there, not risky. I remember I asked in the first invitation if it's necessary to carry my helmet and my vest, but they say no. I'm going to say why? How? No. Yes, because we will be in the part. Okay, but what we can pick up here was okay.
Well, I come not only from a Latin American country, but from a country that had waged a war for the last 60 years. So I know the face of the war. So for me, it was, first of all, a very difficult landscape, because it reminds me what the war looks like. Even it's quite different, what happened in Colombia and what's going on right now in Ukraine. But it reminds me that civilians in the war are the ones who really, have to bear the worst in the wars. And I was just wanting to know what was going on with civilian people here. And that was my expectation, civilians peoples, because I think that's, the worst part of the population within a war. And that was it. That was the main thing that I was looking for when I first arrived here to Kiev.
Well, before traveling to here, to Ukraine, I have really huge expectations because I travel a lot about my job, but this was the first time for coming to a country at war. And well, I had huge expectations about watching what's happening here in this country, and I got a really very nice stories.
I was interested in learning more about Ukraine. I had never been in Ukraine, and also to witnessing what is the life of the people who are not in the front line, because most of what we read from the news are about the front line.
We truly believe that traveling to a country that has been fighting its superpower terrorist neighbor for the 10th year in a row can be a humbling and insightful experience. So we asked the journalists from Latin America to share what was the most significant thing that they found on this trip related to their initial expectations.
The history of the people affected. I knew I would heard and knew these stories, but it's quite different when you experience that in real life, and you see the impacts of the war in their families and their lives.
But the most important is this cohabitation between the war and the post-war.
Just to let everyone to have a chance to see, because we are out of time.
I saw that in other places, in Libya, for example, or in Lebanon. But here is more strong. You can see people who have the war in one hand and the reconstruction in the other. And those two feelings are the rhythm of the two feelings seem the same. It's notable attitude of resilience that these people have.
Wow, lots of things. I've learned about, courage. I've learned about solidarity. I've learned about
And I was like, whoa. It's
about to overcome, the worst. And that struck me a lot. And I've learned as well about fear, But what struck me the most, I would say, is that you are really facing a war that has an enemy, an ancient enemy, that pushed like 20 or 30 or 45, 50 years ago, George Orwell to write 1984. He doesn't have any status within the army, Russian imperialism, which is really something that we Latin Americans, we really don't know. And for me, that was the most important thing that I've learned. That phase of that war waged.
These ones were chosen for the traumatized.
Or at least, pushed by the invasion of the Russians, which is an imperialist way to see the world still up to now.
The things that more impact me were like the personal stories. For example, the one that we saw yesterday in the outskirts of Chernihiv. That was what most impacted me. Well, I think it will be, it's being very, very nice because I was writing all this week about the trip and my impressions and what I saw. Like for journalists, the best thing for us is like to be in the places where the things are happening. So that was cool.
For me, it was very surprising to see that there is a kind of normalcy
Якщо ви заходили з цього боку, можливо, ви звернули увагу на
that life goes on and that the atmosphere of the places we've been is very European. So sometimes as a journalist you have to really dig to understand what are the impacts or the very subtle signs of war.
You've been watching a special project by Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian War, Ukraine in Flames. In the description under this video, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!